and gentlemen, welcome back to the continuing episodes of the Pike County Health Department with the Appalachian News Express podcast. I'm Jeff Vanderbeck. I'm joined once again by Tammy, the executive director, Miss Queen of all being good health. And I have Laura Fraley with me today, and we're going to talk about the Recovery Resource Center, which is a new program that the health department is offering. So, Tammy, listen, let's just jump right into this thing. Tell me about the Recovery Resource Center, the brainchild of it is, whose was it, where it's coming from, what is it?
The overall concept is that it's a one-stop shop. So think of it as your one stop for support, recovery, and hope. If you've been impacted by substance use disorder, whether it's you personally or a child, a spouse, any loved one, anyone that you care about, if you've been impacted by substance use disorder and you need resources, you need help, this is your one-stop shop. So the overall concept really came from this hub model, so that individuals in communities like we have here in Pike County, where it's rural, it's a large county, and it's difficult to navigate the variety of resources. So the overall idea is to have all of the resources under one roof, and individuals can enter one door, our front door at the Pike County Health Department, go to the Recovery Resource Center on site, and Laura Fraley and her team will provide, either direct services on location, or those services will be in close proximity to the health department. That she'll help them navigate those services, almost all of them same day.
Okay, so before we get into that, let me back up a little bit. You mentioned that it's for people who may be experiencing some kind of trauma or substance abuse. Is it also for people who are like me? Let's say I have no issues with that kind of stuff, but I know people and I want to help somebody.
Right.
So can I go in there confidentially and say, listen, I've got this issue, or I know this person, how can you help me help this person? Is that
absolutely? Number one, we're probably going to give you Narcan, and Laura, again,
you're not going to give it. You're going to give it to me.
We're going to provide Narcan. We're going to provide Narcan material, boxes of Narcan to you. Laura and or her team will provide the education, so you know how to use it correctly. And then, depending on your situation, Jeff, where the resources are, to make you aware of Casey's Law, for example. If it's someone who's very close to you and you're willing to go through the process of Casey's Law, most parents, spouses, close loved ones, find Casey's Law very helpful. I'm sure Laura can speak to other resources, but absolutely, this resource center is for everyone.
So we'll get into the Casey's Law here in a second, but so the resource center. So I just want to make sure it's perfectly clear.
Okay.
Even if you are personally not experiencing anything, but you know somebody who is a friend, a family member. Let's say you're a clergy member and you have somebody in your parish that is, or your church who's experienced some, or somebody who knows somebody who's experiencing something. They can come to this resource center. They could see Laura and her team, and they can talk about how to get help for a person who is getting who's got problems.
Absolutely, that's what Laura does, and she does it very well. We have people call, I don't know, on the daily practically, inquiring about referral to treatment,
right?
Whether it's inpatient or outpatient, behavioral health therapy. And Laura can navigate that for them, give them the phone number, or make a direct introduction or connection.
So Laura, tell me what services that we're talking about. I know we talk about harm reduction, we got workforce development, we've got, how to help with families and all that stuff. So tell me, so what is the resource center? How does it work? What happens? And what kind of services are you offering? And now listen, you're very soft-spoken. I want you to talk to the people like they need the help, which they do, and I want you to be smiley and make it happen.
What we want to do is create a safe space for anyone to walk in.
And confidential.
Confidential.
Right. Okay.
So even if you find yourself in a situation where you're not as much impacted as you may think of someone else is, we still want you to come in. If you're hungry and you need to, navigate the resources to find some food stability or housing stability or mental health resources, we really want to help in any way that we can. So whenever you walk through the door, we just want you to feel that safe environment, know that it's confidential. And we do a really good job in our harm reduction program. We have the opportunity to provide a lot of immediate resources, whether it is through food boxes or helping them fill out applications on our mobile unit. But the Recovery Resource Center is going to really open up the door for that long-term sustainability. So when you come in, we can sit down and take the opportunity and the chance to get to know you and figure out where we go. Like, we could give you a food box today, but we want to make sure you're eating next week. We want to make sure that you are sustainable in the future. And this is really going to open up the door for that. And we're really excited about it.
I'm going to get all biblical with you. So, ladies, sit down. So, you're not only going to give a man a fish, you're going to teach a man how to fish.
That's
Yes.
a really good analogy.
Holy
And there's
cheesesteak. Listen, I don't want you to spread that word that I'm doing biblical analogies with you, because people would not believe you. But I think that's a wonderful thing that you're doing. So, Tammy, tell me how this resource recovery center, this recovery resource center, how did it come to fruition? What happened? Who's all behind it?
Right.
Who's the brainchild of this thing? It's desperately needed in this community. So thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you. Well, talking about thanking people, we would be really remiss in not mentioning, Ray Jones, our judge executive. So I actually approached Judge Jones, made him aware of this hub concept model that I had seen in the Kentucky River District over in Lee County. And I told him about, the hub in Lee County. And at the same time, the Kentucky opioid abatement funds were dispersed, and Pike County received their allocation. And I'm also on the Pike County Opioid Abatement Committee, so I participate in the committee that makes the determination on where those funds go. So I spoke to the committee about the hub concept, and then Laura put the grant together and brought it to the committee. And of course, I recused myself. And the committee looked over the grant program, and they decided to invest nearly $1 million in the Recovery Resource Center for Pike County.
From the opioid abatement money.
From the
So
Pike County, from the fiscal court's pocket of funds that came from the state.
So it's not taxpayer funded per se.
No, it's
opioid
grant. It came from the state's Kentucky Opioid Abatement Settlement Funds.
Sure.
And then they dispersed half of that to local government entities. So Pike County Fiscal Court has their disbursement, and they chose to invest nearly $1 million in the Recovery Resource Center.
That's fantastic. So I'm reading some of the things that you do, some of the services, HIV testing. Okay, that's all. So if people think they've been afflicted with that or in some way hit, they can go there and get an HIV test. Narcan training distribution, very, very important. I mean, I carry Narcan in my car just for that reason. I carry 2 of them because in case there's a first responder, I want to make sure a first responder gets hit up first. And then if there's a victim, I want to make sure that supplement the food distribution. You talked about that. If somebody's, food deprived or a family, you can help them immediately.
Yes.
And then give them the skills to fish so they can feed themselves. Hygiene distribution, toothbrush, toothpaste. We know that a lot of diseases can be done through proper oral care. That's great. Although my breath probably right now, I had a bad lunch. I had a great lunch today, but I probably can knock a buzzard off a poop wagon because I haven't brushed my teeth in the last hour or so. Case management, wound care, in case there's something going on there and people just are desperate and destitute, they can come and see you. Workforce development, you got first aid classes, CPR, which is we talked about in one of our previous podcasts, which is a fabulous opportunity.
Yes.
Food handler classes, peer support classes, expungement clinics on how to get your record cleaned so that people can move on.
Mhm.
You mentioned something earlier too, Laura, that, just because it's confidential, it's a safe place. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling with over anxiety, overwhelmed, or the bills, kids are going back to school. I just dropped my kids off and I'm sitting in the parking lot and I'm crying and I don't know why and I don't know what to do. They can go in there to the safe place and get some resources and at least talk to somebody.
Yes.
Would that be a fair statement as well?
Absolutely.
We have partners that we know, community partners that will collaborate with us in this project.
Sure.
And some of them have telehealth available. We'll have kiosks in the Recovery Resource Center. They can directly connect, or if they have the ability, we have other partners that would want you to come in person. Some require the first visit in person, but Laura knows all of that, like what the parameters are and the rules are. So we're not the mental health experts, but we certainly are the linkage to care experts. So we make sure that we make that referral and link that individual. And I want to also point out that on the workforce development side, you mentioned several resources there, like you mentioned the food handlers, for example, and expungement, CPR, first aid. So many of our residents here in Pike County are in the recovery process. In other words, they may no longer be in the throes of substance abuse, but they're 1 year, 2 year, 3 years in recovery. Those individuals still need resources.
Sure, absolutely.
That's a long-term, care approach. So many of these resources are for individuals like early in the recovery process, and then other resources for later in the recovery process.
Tell me, you mentioned so will you be offering like AA and NA meetings as well going forward?
That'll be a very important component to the center for it being successful. So we want to offer those support groups, but also offer support group for family members because they need to know how to navigate this, and they may have questions and stuff. And it's really the same concept. It's a peer-to-peer led support group, and there's been a lot of success in other areas, and we don't have one in Pike County, so we would love to start one here.
That's great.
And also, what we're funding is that for like alcohol addiction, the resources here in Pike County are limited. So we're hoping to really focus on that as well, and expand upon that. That's outside the topic of opioid abuse, but we are going to add on at the health department some resources specifically for that topic. But in order to do all of this, we are going to modify the space at the health department location.
Okay. Well, I want to get into that in a minute, but you mentioned something really, really important, and you talked about Casey's Law.
Mm-hmm.
Explain what Casey's Law is, how it works, and how people can get benefit from that.
Casey's Law's been around. I don't know the exact year it came into law. I've actually had an opportunity to hear Casey's mother speak, who started the process to make that a reality, that law. And I think around 2009, maybe that came. It might be a little bit older than that, but about 15 to 20 years in Kentucky. And I know that I personally have utilized Casey's Law, so I have personal experience with that, lived experience. And I'll let Laura get into the specifics of Casey's Law because it can be difficult to navigate. I was very fortunate in that I had a doctor and a judge who walked me through that process, and I was probably not the first, I doubt, but one of the first individuals in Pike County to utilize Casey's Law to force a loved one. You're taking a loved one and you're putting them into treatment involuntarily. But Laura, you want to get into
talk a little bit more about the Casey's Law and how a family member can use that.
So a family member can actually come and pick up a packet, and they start what is called a petition process. And there's 8 steps to this process, and I don't want to make it sound too complicated because that's what I've been hearing is we've had families come to us recently wanting to file this, but it just seems so overwhelming when they're given this packet and it's like here, and then they have to read the steps.
A couple families, just recently through the process,
just navigate through it. So, and you're having a Casey's Law workshop on September 4th. So people who are in the throes of this opportunity, you can go to this workshop, learn more about it, and see what's going on and help family members.
Even if you don't need, think you need Casey's Law now, but you want to know more about it or learn more, attend our workshop. It's free.
And it's interactive. We'll have tables set up to where it guides you through each process, so you don't have to be confused or alone. There'll be resources with each step of the way, telling you exactly where to go, how to do it. Just that whole step process will be laid out at our workshop.
All right. That's fantastic. I really appreciate you guys doing it. I know that this is a very well needed service in our community. So tell me where the recovery center is, or the recovery resource center is. Where is it? How do people get there? How do people get involved?
Right.
How, okay, we know what we can do. Now what's my call to action?
Well, currently, the Recovery Resource Center is located inside the Pike County Health Department, the downtown Pikeville location on the top floor. So you would just enter any entrance into the building, take the elevator to the second floor, and you would ask for someone in the Recovery Resource Center. You could directly ask for Laura Fraley, and they're there. Someone in that program will be there on site. They do, some of the members are out in the community, but someone with the Recovery Resource Center will be there. Or you can call 509-5500 and ask to speak with someone from the Recovery Resource Center. So a short answer to your question, Jeff's, at the health department, we are currently utilizing the space that we currently have to provide most of the services that we will be offering. Now, in the very near future, we will be modifying the building and utilizing space that we're going to build on underneath the basement, the parking garage area underneath the health department building. We're going to expand that space, and the Recovery Resource Center will have its own entrance, and that's where all the services will be located. And until that occurs, we're going to use the space that we have on the top floor, the second floor. But once we have that space modified, we'll have enough room to hold those NAAA peer support-led support group meetings. And we'll be able to enhance like the meal distribution, for example. We'll have more private kiosk areas where individuals can come in and apply for housing, SNAP, what people know as the food stamp program. But we do most of that now anyway.
So if people want to go, what they do, the first thing you do is if there's a problem, call or go to the website, www.pikecountyhealthdepartment.com, or call 509-5500. And if it's and that's Monday through Thursday from like 9 to 4.
8 to 4:30.
8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. So after hours, they could still call that 509-5500 number, and they will be able to obtain some sort of resources somewhere, correct?
Yeah, we have after hours answering service. So if someone's in an emergency situation and it can't wait until 8 o'clock the next day, and sometimes with substance use disorder, that's the case, they can call and the answering service will pick up, and then those emergency calls are diverted to a specific team.
So, but we want to be clear. We want to make sure if it's a medical emergency, it's always 911 first.
Yes.
So if it's another type of emergency, mental health emergency.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. If it's a 911 emergency, call me.
Yeah, medical emergencies are 911. But if you've got a mental health issue and if it's after hours, you can always reach out to the 988 number.
That's right.
Or you can call the 509-5500 and be directed into proper area. But, unfortunately, we have all these issues that they don't work around regular days, time schedules from 9 to 5. So people experience that stuff afterwards. So that's a good resource to have. So I want to get into the thick of this a little bit more. What do you anticipate happening with this center? How many people do you anticipate seeing? What do you actually, if you had to wave your magic wand, what's your crystal ball say in the next, 6 months to 1 year down the road? What does it look like?
Laura, you're the data guru in this regard. I know how many that we have, like in syringe exchange, for example. But Laura, you want to speak to that on the numbers you anticipate?
I think it will expand exponentially, because even with our syringe service program, we have anywhere from 140 participants, but it's really going to open up the door to allow other people to come in that may not be in that area with substance use. And that's what we really want. We do that now, but a lot of people think, well, they have to be in that spot to receive some of our services. So I think opening this is really just going to open the door and welcome everyone in to receive the services that we have. I can't give like an exact, but I would estimate we would triple, what we have now. It would just look different. It would be on different stages of their journey, wherever they're at. So.
Sure.
We have a population of a little under 60,000, right? We're around 58,000.
Right.
And we know that most people in this community have been impacted by substance use disorder. And, she mentioned the syringe exchange program, and I'd like to point out, we do have about 140 unique users that take advantage of the syringe exchange program. There's many benefits to that. We could spend a whole podcast talking about syringe exchange and how it benefits the entire community. But That program is a mobile outreach program, and the syringe exchange will not occur inside the Recovery Resource Center. Syringe exchange is kind of a program of its own and will
Right.
continue to be mobile outreach. But I was trying to think.
One of the
I
things I wanted
forgot
to make,
that.
one of the things I want to make abundantly clear is that I know that this is located in downtown Pikeville, but if I'm out in Freeburn or Phelps or someplace like that and I can't get there, the main thing to do is still call the 509-5500 because you'll be able to talk to somebody, and then the resources will be able to be dispersed, distributed, or figure out how to get person from point A to point B or get help to wherever it's at. So regardless of where in the county you're located, it's still a huge resource, even though if you don't have transportation or you don't have a way to get to downtown Pikeville today, you can at least talk to somebody today so they can help you get the resources you need immediately to move on.
Laura's unit visits, I know she can talk a lot about this, but Belfry, Phelps, Elkhorn City, and we have a health department satellite clinic in Belfry. We're getting ready to build one in Phelps.
Right.
But all of those locations, the mobile unit visits, and from that mobile unit, they provide all of these services. Most of these services we've talked about today. They have a hotspot. They have laptops. They let people apply for housing, SNAP. They do HIV Hep C testing. They referral to treatment, syringe exchange, wound care kits, food boxes, Narcan. I mean, the list goes on and on. And they're servicing hundreds per month.
So on the mobile unit, it's really important. If people don't know about it, what they need to do is they need to just either pick up the News Express and we'll let them know, we have that information in there, or they can call the 509-5500 and say, hey, when is the mobile unit going to be in this particular area? Or can you give me the schedule so they can get people there? So ladies, I can't tell you, this is such a valuable resource to this community. And I know that Judge Jones was really into, and that the fiscal court was integral in getting this thing. And it's unfortunate that we have to have it, but I'm so thankful that we do. So thank you so much for what you do. 509-5500, www.pikecountyhealthdepartment.com. Come down, see these people. Laura will even smile. She'll talk happy. She'll even talk and maybe be animated, but she's very, very good resource. Thank you very much for what you do, ladies. I really appreciate this. And I know the community really thanks you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks again.